Okay, Assalamualaikum. We have come to chapter 2, which is concepts of derivatives. Okay, so this basically the highlight. These are the highlights. Okay, anak, sorry, saya punya favorite word bila bercakap or giving lecture would be basically, okay and alright. Okay, so, just bear with it. Okay, see, okay. Alright, so the first one we will learn about derivative. Of course, you have learned about derivative in chapter 1, but we will go in depth about this one, and then we will also talk about the type of derivative market. We have forward, futures, option, and swaps, and finally, not finally, we will have the purposes of derivative market. Okay. And then we will learn about the major participants of derivative market. We have two types of participants, hedgers and speculators. However, the speculators can be divided into three types. Okay, we will learn about those type of speculators later on. And then a bit on the differences of exchange traded market and over-the-counter derivative market, and finally a little bit on the origin and the growth of derivative trading. Right, ulangan. Okay, definition of derivative market again. So derivatives, okay, are the instruments traded also in the capital market. Okay, derivatives are securities that are derived from the underlying or original instrument. Kataan derivative tu sendiri maksudnya apa? Derive, terhasil. So derivatives is actually securities that derive from one underlying instrument. Dia mesti ada mak yang melahirkan dia. So dia tak akan ada, there will be no derivatives that derive from nothing. It must derived from something, from one original asset, either it is financial asset or business asset. Okay, by trading procedure, the price of derivative instrument is derived or influenced. Okay, dalam case ni is derived from the actual price of the underlying asset, either the physical asset or financial asset. Okay, so that is derivative. Derivative ni lah market yang mana yang saya explain dalam chapter 1, okay, where the delivery of goods and also the payment for the good will take place in the future. Derivative ni lah sejenis security yang membolehkan the fulfillment of the contract, the fulfillment of the transaction, alright, can be made in the futures or at a later date. Okay. By trading definition, derivative simply a contract. Saya sebut 2-3 kali dah tadi, derivative is a security. Tapi cantiknya, menariknya security ni, it is also actually a contract. Menariklah contract ni because this contract also represent one type of security that you can trade. Kontrak yang boleh diniagakan, you boleh jual, you boleh beli. Okay, alright. It is simply a contract. Dalam kontrak tu tertulis apa? Agreement yang menyatakan either you will buy or you will sell. Alright, specified security. Alright, the contract is set today, but the fulfillment of the contract will be stipulated at later date. Okay. Therefore, the derivative trading require two types of instrument. Yang pertama, physical or underlying asset. Lepas tu, derivative instrument tu sendiri. Okay. And it will involve two market. Physical or underlying asset ni, mak dia ni, okay, diniagakan dekat mana? Dekat cash market or spot market. Tapi anak dia, derivative market tu, derivative instrument or security tu will be traded in the derivative market. So please remember, in derivative trading, it will require two instrument. Satu mak dia, satu anak dia, and it will involve two market. Kenapa mak dia, underlying asset tu physical, maybe financial, okay, are traded in the cash market or spot market, and derivative instrument pula are traded in the derivative market. Okay. Alright, next. In view of the presence of the underlying instrument and the market, both prices tend to influence each other. Okay, harga underlying asset akan mempengaruhi harga derivative. anak dia yang terhasil tu akan mempengaruhi harga the derivative instrument. Harga derivative instrument juga will also influence harga mak dia. It depends lah on who you are. Alright, are you the trader in the cash market or are you the trader in the derivative market? Therefore, the performance of derivative market is highly depending, alright, or highly depends on the performance of the physical or underlying market. Bila sebut physical ni dalam kes ni maksud dia underlying market lah market yang mana mak dia berada, mak dia diniagakan. Okay, alright. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, again, what is derivative? Derivative is a financial security. Okay, derivative memang financial security with a value that is reliant upon or derived from an underlying asset or group of asset. Okay, so ini semua yang dipaparkan all that all those assets shown here are actually the mother, the underlying asset. We have stocks. Okay, stok diniagakan dekat cash market, tapi cash market dia Bursa Malaysia Sendirian Berhad. Okay, Bursa Malaysia Berhad, bukan Sendirian Berhad, Bursa Malaysia Berhad. Okay, alright, we have bond. Bond diniagakan dalam bond market, cash market dia dalam bond market. We have commodities such as crude palm oil, cocoa, rubber, semua tu diniagakan dalam cash market, pasaran spot market. Okay, and then we have currencies. Okay, currency also a commodity actually. And then we have interest rate. Interest rate ni special sikit lah. Dia adalah interest rate, tapi dia adalah underlying asset. Walaupun dia interest rate, but it is also an underlying asset that can derive future contract. And also we have market indices such as Kuala Lumpur Composite Index. Okay, ini adalah financial asset. Okay, mari kita tengok mak-mak ni semua. Ini financial asset. Financial asset. This one is commodity currency. This one is commodity such as CPO. Okay, ini interest rate. Interest rate nak kata financial asset pun dia interest kan? Financial asset ke? Tak apalah, dia interest lah. Okay, and then we have market indices such as Bursa Malaysia Composite Index, FBM. Okay, FTSE Bursa Malaysia Composite Index. Okay, ini adalah market indices. Stock, apa contoh saya bagi tadi, stek lah. Tapi tak apalah. Stock contohnya, stock apa-apalah. Saya dah habis stock ke apa ke. But in Malaysia, of course, when we're talking about stock market that can derive futures contract, we are referring to the market indices. Okay, so these are the mothers that will derive future contract. Okay, alright, let's take a look at this one. Okay, these are the underlying asset, mak-mak dia, which are traded in cash or spot market. Alright, crude palm oil, okay, is a commodity. Apa dia derivative contract yang terhasil daripada crude palm oil? Dia menghasilkan crude palm oil futures or known as FCPO. And then we have market index. In Malaysia, we have FTSE Bursa Malaysia Kuala Lumpur Composite Index. Okay, so ini adalah financial asset. Ini adalah apa tadi? Crude palm oil adalah business asset. FNKSI adalah financial asset. Okay, financial asset ni menghasilkan KSI Index futures or known as FKLI. And then we have 5 years MGS. Okay, bond. Okay, and then this bond will derive FMG5, okay, MGS futures. We also have interest rate, where the interest rate derive the FKB3. And then we also have currency. Saya bagi contoh lah kat sini, AUD per USD currency. Maka dia boleh derivekan futures contract, forward contract and also option contract. Okay, so ini mak-mak mak-mak dia ada kat mana mak-mak? Semua ada kat cash market. Cash market boleh jadi business cash market ataupun financial cash market. This one adalah derivatives market. Ini adalah semua anak-anak yang terhasil daripada mak-mak kat sini. But anak-anak, all the anak-anak yang terhasil di sini, the derivative instrument that derive from the underlying assets, all of these are traded in the derivative market. Kalau kat Malaysia, derivative market kita adalah apa? Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad. Itulah pasaran derivative market dekat Malaysia. Okay, mak-mak dia orang ni berada dalam cash market yang berbeza. Kalau komoditi crude palm oil ni dalam pasaran minyak sawit mentah lah. Okay, kalau FBKCI dekat Malaysia stock market lah. Bond dalam bond market. Clibor rate ataupun interest rate dalam money market, interbank money market. Okay, currency of course dalam forex market. Tapi semua anak-anak yang dihasilkan are traded in the derivative market di Malaysia, and it is actually Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad. Okay. Slide saya berulang. Okay. There are two types of derivative. Two type lah. There are four types of derivative market ataupun derivatives instrument. We have forward, futures, option and swap. But our focus will be futures and option. Okay. Okay, forward is actually the oldest type of derivative market. Okay. Actually kan anak-anak, dengar saya cakap betul-betul. Forward, futures and option, tiga-tiga ni you can define like this. Ingat forward, futures and option, ketiga-tiga tu adalah apa? An agreement to buy and to sell or to sell. Sambut dia guna and, sambut dia guna or, but I think or is the best word to be used lah, sebab kadang-kadang kita cuma beli, kita tak jual. Okay, an agreement to buy or to sell specified securities at a specified price to be delivered at the maturity date in the future. Actually, definitions for all the three, forward, futures and option adalah sama. Cuma yang membezakan antara forward, futures and option. Forward, the agreement is privately arranged between the buyer and seller. Maksudnya, kontrak ini memang privately negotiated or arranged antara buyer dengan seller. Sama ada buyer bertemu seller ataupun seller yang cari buyer bersetuju antara satu sama lain to come out with the contract. Buyer agree to buy specified underlying asset in the future. Dia cakap kat seller, okay, let's say Ali ada kebun buah kelapa. Okay, Abu pergi kat dia, Abu kata aku nak beli lagi sebulan, nanti nak raya, okay, I need a lot of santan, so I promise you to buy pada harga 100 kilo berapa ringgit, contoh 100 kilo RM300, contoh macam tu, contoh so agreement buat hari ni, tapi dia nak beli lagi sebulan, kenapa? Lagi sebulan baru nak pakai buah kelapa tu. Okay, so Ali pun bersetuju. Alright, so they make the agreement. Okay, so nampak tak? The contract is privately negotiated between this, between both Ali and Abu. Okay, if one party intends to close out the contract, it must be at the consent of the other party. Alright, kalau nak tutup maksudnya okay, nak settlekan kontrak tu, nak beli, jadi kena dengan persetujuan pihak sana. Cumanya, in the other word, forward market is an unregulated private agreement between buyer and seller, and it doesn't guarantee on the fulfillment of the contract by either party. Ali setuju nak beli, Ali ke Abu tadi? Pembeli itulah Abu Alright, I forgot. Abu setuju nak beli dengan Ali pada harga RM300 untuk 100 kilo. Alright, but at maturity dia jumpa seller lain yang jual untuk 100 kilo RM200 saja. Okay, maksudnya the contract is not secured. Okay, there is a potential of default by any of the party lah. Okay, jadi itu yang membezakan forward dengan futures. Okay, kalau forward, these contract are privately negotiated, tapi kalau futures, okay, similar to forward, except alright, ada presence of the third party that act as the guarantor. Okay, futures ni pula dia bukan privately negotiated. Futures adalah kontrak yang that has been standardized dekat Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad. Jadi bila dia diniagakan kat Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad, meaning to say there is a third party that will guarantee the fulfillment of the contract. Alright, the third party tu, guarantor tu is known as clearing house. Kita ada Bursa Malaysia clearing house. Clearing house will make sure none of the party, either buyer or seller, will default, alright, will violate the contract. Alright, the clearinghouse will make sure kalau buyer dah memang agree to buy, they have to buy. If the seller agree to sell, they have to sell. Okay, so futures are regulated standard agreement that obligate the buyer and the seller. Tapi kalau futures, alright, okay, nampak tak, ada private agreement between buyer and seller, and this doesn't guarantee the fulfillment of the contract. Okay, that is the futures. Tapi maksud sama, forward and futures dua-dua obligates both party to fulfill the contract. Tapi forward ada tendency to can be default. Futures tak ada, sebab forward dia privately negotiated, tak ada orang ketiga, tak ada clearing house. Futures adalah regulated standard agreement yang mana ada clearing house as the guarantor, alright, in the agreement. Okay, And then we also have option. Option sama juga definasi tadi. It is a contract or agreement, right, to buy or to sell specified underlying asset in the future. Tapi dalam option, nama pun option, pilihan. Only the sellers have the obligation, alright, to fulfill the contract. Tapi buyer ada option, alright, sama ada nak guna tak contract tu, alright, nak fulfill tak contract tu. Sebab apa dia diberi pilihan. Okay. Dia diberi masa enter the contract, dia boleh beli kelapa pada harga 100 kilo RM300. Tiba-tiba dekat pasaran masa nak beli lagi sebulan tu kat pasaran cuma 100. Maka dia boleh untuk tak guna option kontrak dia untuk beli buah kelapa tadi. Okay, kenapa? Sebab dia ada option. Siapa ada option? The buyer of the contract. The buyers of the contract have the option, alright, whether not to exercise the option to buy or to sell the underlying asset. This one tak apa. Ini chapter 9, 10, 11 nanti. Okay? Alright. Okay, the purpose of derivative market. Ada dua purpose. Yang pertama, price discovery. Alright, the ability of derivative market to reveal information about future cash market prices. Dia macam ni lah, it depends on who you are. Kalau you are, katakan you are the producer of crude palm oil, okay? Alright, tukar-tukar. Contoh dia macam ni. You are the speculator, okay? You want to trade in FCPO, alright? CPO futures, okay? You nak beli ke you nak jual, you akan tengok trend. You will look at the price trend in the CPO market sendiri. Harga minyak sawit sekarang is actually increasing or decreasing. Kalau increasing, maksudnya kalau harga minyak sawit mentah naik, harga FCPO, CPO futures contract pun akan naik. Maka you akan beli futures contract hari ni. Because why? These two market are related to each other. They are positively correlated. Kalau harga in one market increase, harga in cash market increase, harga in the futures market will also increase. Gitu. And then hedging mechanism. This one, to understand the second purpose of the derivative market ni, hedging mechanism ni, I think you will understand this more when we do chapter 4 onwards lah. Because one of the strategy a trader should be able to know, alright, will be hedging, speculating, spreading and arbitraging. But senang cerita, hedging ni is actually protection, alright, that you make via the derivative market to protect yourself against undesirable price movement in the cash market. Kita takut harga minyak sawit mahal by the time you nak beli minyak sawit mentah nanti, maka kita enter futures market, alright, trade futures contract hari ni. Kenapa? Supaya proceed ataupun profit that you make in the futures market boleh cover the increase in cost of purchase dalam cash market. Alright, that is hedging mechanism. You will understand this better or more when we do chapter 4. Okay, and then alright, there are a few major participants in the derivative market. We have hedgers. Who are hedgers? Hedgers are the actual owner of the underlying asset lah. Alright, ataupun commodity, depends. Alright, maybe underlying asset, maybe the commodity. You adalah the actual owner. Either you are refiner of CPO, you penjual minyak masak, ataupun you adalah pengilang minyak sawit. Alright, orang pakai hantar buah sawit kat kilang you process, okay, and then you keluarkan CPO, crude palm oil, minyak sawit mentah, you nak jual. So it depends, either you are the seller of CPO ataupun you are the buyer of CPO. Okay, so you have the tendency to face the price risk in the future. Kalau you seller, you takut harga CPO jatuh. Kalau you buyer of the CPO, you takut harga CPO akan naik. And then the second participant would be speculators. Speculators ni actually, they do not own the commodity or the underlying asset. Alright, their intention is just to make profit in the futures market. Okay, siapa you? You bukan pengilang ke, penapis minyak sawit ke? No, you are not one of them. You are just merely a trader who wants to make profit from the movement of the prices of the futures contract. Okay, you will understand also better about speculators later in chapter 4. Okay, and speculators can be divided into 3. Okay, ada speculators, alright, which are trader, tapi kita panggil dia speculator. They only have one position, either they want to buy or to sell contract. Okay, they will Okay, kita baca kat sini. A speculator has only one position or contract at one time. They try to make large profit when the price increase or decrease. And then we also have speculator yang dinamakan spreader. They will have two position. They will buy or sell. They will buy or sell contract simultaneously. Okay, dia akan beli dan jual two different contract serentak in order to they try to take opportunity to make profit from any of the contract yang boleh bagi diorang untung. Okay. Baguslah satu sudut speculator ni bagus because the speculator yang spreader ni because they spread the risk. Okay, kalau satu rugi ada lagi satu yang untung. That's why they will have dual position. And we also have speculator yang kita gelar an arbitrager. Alright, also dual position. Kalau spreader tadi dia beli dua jenis kontrak, maksudnya dua-dua in futures market. Tapi kalau arbitrager, satu dia take position in cash market, another position in futures market. Also, you will understand this better when we do chapter 4. Okay, and then we have exchange traded versus over the counter derivative. Okay, sebenarnya exchange traded ni fokus pada futures contract lah. As I told you just now, futures contract are traded in Bursa Malaysia derivative berhad. So the market are centralized. There are commission Bursa Malaysia. They are Securities Commission regulated punya market, and then the contract are standardized. It is a transparent contract sebab all the contract are standardized, and then of course you have to pay margin payment, alright, to secure your position, and the default risk is low, and finally the performance are guaranteed by clearing house. Exchange traded normally focus on futures and option. Over the counter focus on the forward trading. Forward trading, like I told you just now, alright, they are privately negotiated contract. So the market is not centralized. It is self-regulated. Okay, it is a negotiated contract between buyer and the seller. The market is not transparent. Sebab apa? Sebab contract tu tak standardized. Okay, tak tetap. And then there is no legal requirement for you to pay margin. Margin ni macam modal initial margin lah, maksudnya initial deposit that you have to deposit in your trading account before you start trading. Kalau bawah exchange traded memang kena letak initial margin ataupun initial deposit, tapi under forward contract tak perlu. And then credit risk of course high for over the counter market, and finally there is no guarantee because there is no third party or clearing house to secure your contract. Okay, and then the origin and the growth of the derivative market. Bermula sejarah derivative trading ni originated formally from the forward contract. Bermula dengan forward dulu, barulah datang futures. Kat mana dia bermula? Dekat Europe. And then a formal one, futures, okay, dia mula-mula sekali terhasil dengan forward dekat Europe. And then berlaku inovasi in the derivative trading, maka inovasi ke? Evolution, alright, berlaku evolution in the derivative market trading, maka terciptalah the first futures contract which are traded in Japan, alright, rice futures, okay, futures untuk beras, rice, okay, itu adalah the first commodity. Maksudnya futures yang pertama terhasil adalah commodity futures, which is rice futures in Japan back in 80th century. Okay, lepas tu dia merebaklah sampai ke USA dan last sekali sampai kat Malaysia. The first futures contract yang terhasil dekat Malaysia would be crude palm oil futures. Okay, and finally don't forget, okay, the last one, enjoy your every little thing in your life. Okay, bertambahnya nikmat yang Allah bagi dalam hidup kita bila kita sentiasa bersyukur. Okay, that's all for chapter 2. Assalamualaikum.